Dude, good to see you.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Thanks for coming a few minutes early.
I know, of course.
Comics, if you're listening or watching, take note. Look at that. Look at that.
Little nice.
A little nice.
Yeah, wow.
We're good. Andrew Ginsberg, good to see you, bro. Thanks so much for coming back on the pod, bro. Is this time number 3?
Ted, it's my 3rd appearance. I got a little coffee on your table.
I noticed
I'm
that.
nervous about it. I'm sorry.
Is that oat milk or almond milk? What kind of milk?
It's half and half, which I know you can't stand. Came from a cow.
Yeah, we might have to restart this episode, bro. We're cutting this part out.
Ultra
pasteurized. I'll get you a little napkin.
Sorry about that. I don't mean to disrespect your home. I'm here in...
Last name. Dude, there's been worse on that table, I'll tell you that.
Ah, I bet. All right, I'm getting myself lounging here. Thank you, sir. Yes. See, I show up in this man's home and I just spilled half and half.
Dude, but you were early, so now we're even. What's up, Andrew Ginsberg?
Good to see you, Ted Jones. Thanks for having me back.
What's up, man? Of course,
dude. I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked to be here. 3rd appearance on the Ted Jones podcast.
You know what, dude? I'm actually happy to have you, man. You always have a nice smile on your face, and you're a good hang. You're a good talk to, which is very valuable, I think, in the comedic industry, right? Because we work with a lot of people who maybe are like a one-trick pony. They're very funny on stage. They got the one-liners, but then when you go up and talk to them after their set, maybe they're not as friendly as they were on stage.
I'm not that guy, Ted. You
got both, the best of both worlds, I'd say.
I like to kick it too. I like being on someone's couch talking into a microphone.
Absolutely, man.
Is this position good? Sorry,
you pull it back. You pull it back. Put your back here.
Can I go like
we'll
this?
Get you a little.
Can I lounge like
How's
this?
that, bro? Put those arms out.
Now I'm lounging.
Now you're good.
Yeah.
Bro, how's the sober journey going?
Dude, it's good. It continues on, I haven't had a drink. You want to know about that? I haven't had a drink in a couple of years, 2.5, which is cool. It's April Fool's Day, So,
but you're serious about that?
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah.
Well, it's April Fool's Day.
I drink every day. It's all I was all leading up to April Fool's Day 2023. I wanted it to reveal the big joke. I've been drinking the whole time.
You find it's a daily journey?
Is it a daily journey?
You know what I mean? Like some people in the past, if they had an addiction or something, they're like, every day I gotta kind of bust through. Do you feel like that? It's the same with alcohol or no?
Nah. I mean, it's a every day I make a decision not to drink, I would say. But I think generally, sometimes it's on more autopilot than others. Listen, this is a funny story. I was actually just thinking about this on the way over here, so it's timely that you asked. I was, I don't get like a desire to drink very often, but it's like, if you were like, hey man, like, hey, you want to come on a private jet with me and go to Vegas and drink champagne all week? I'd be like, nah, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't even come on the jet?
I'd come, but say you were like, we're gonna party, we have to party. I'd be like, no. I'd be like,
you can't come on the jet unless you're partying.
Yeah, like we're partying on the jet.
Party mix, fucking Doritos flying, champagne, Dom Perignon. Well, I'm saying that it's a private jet.
The 3 things you need for a good party: a private jet, Doritos party mix, and champagne. Dom Perignon. That's right. You know how to fucking get down.
There you go.
But I would say no to that. But for me, it's like if like 2 sad guys are like, hey man, like this dude just left a bunch of beers in a garbage bag outside of his car. No one's even touching them. You want to drink them behind a dumpster? Like that's what I'm like, I do want to do that.
Well, that's probably how your mindset was though in the past when you were drinking. You were like, I'll kind of drink anything and party whenever.
Well, I like to drink. My favorite way to drink is with just depressed guys alone behind a dumpster. That's the shit that I miss. But not really. So it's, you know what I mean? But that's where I'll get it.
And it's also like a kind of vibe that you wouldn't really be presented with nowadays with all this shit that you're doing and all the good things that you're doing in your life, right? Like you wouldn't be presented with that situation.
Not incredibly often. I mean, it happens like, of course, because we spend so much time in bars, with the comedy and stuff. It'll happen where people are like, hey man, we were going to sit in the storage closet and drink beers till 4. That you want to, and I'll be like, damn, dude, that sounds pretty amazing. But,
and especially how people celebrate comics in general. They'll be like, oh yeah, I did a couple sets tonight, did well. Let me drink a few whiskeys or whatever that is. Like, bro, in college, the amount of drinks I was drinking a week, I must have been drinking, I don't know what, 30 to 40 drinks a week.
Nice.
Because some nights that we'd have nickel night where you'd go to the bar and you get 4 drinks for $1. So me and 3 of my boys would just plant out at the bar for an hour and we'd each be like 8 drinks deep. Dude, at 7:30, I'd be passed out, lights on, shoes on in my dorm room. That kind of situation. Like that's how much I was drinking. Yeah. And nowadays, like I'm never pressured to drink. Like I won't drink alone. I never have alcohol in the apartment. But going on like first dates, bro, that's tough to not drink. Have you been handling that well?
Yeah.
Like you just do coffee dates?
Dude, it's tough, Ted Jones. It's tough out there.
Yeah, bro, it is freaking tough. These ladies these days, you know, meeting them online, whatever, bro.
Here's the thing. I've reached a point in my life where I want to date, I guess, right? Do you feel that way? Do you want to date? No, you don't want to date. You're done?
No, no.
Are you a girl?
I'm done,
you
bro.
strike me as a girlfriend guy.
No.
Like a guy who gets a girlfriend for 4 years and doesn't talk to any of his friends.
That's it.
And then he's like, and then they break up and it's like, hey, I'm back. And everyone's like, dude, we hate you now. Are you that guy?
I think I had a few girlfriends like that though, where it was like, all right, for 3 to 6 months, I'm transformed, and I would just be all about that particular girl. Yeah. But I haven't had a girlfriend for real in like 3 years.
Okay.
Ever since I had my jaw surgery, that was a pretty transformative. Bro, what's the word? Transformative? Yes, transformative moment in my life.
Why?
I'd say just because like I couldn't really talk anymore. I had a girlfriend at that particular time.
Oh, it's like a Kanye story.
I was thinking about breaking up with her. She was great. She was super young. Yeah. This is the reason I have this scar here. So my jaw was closed, bro. And at that particular time, I was just like not eating because I don't know. I think I was like hallucinating from the drugs that they were giving me for my jaw surgery.
Nice.
And I had like a whole new kind of mindset. I was like, all right, I'm working at my dad's company. I want to do something different. So I started the podcast around that time. And then I haven't really had a girlfriend since around that time. Like I've been with females for maybe weeks, but not months or years. I tell you that.
So you have this jaw surgery and you have a girlfriend. You're like, listen, I've been reflecting. We're gonna break up and I'm gonna start a podcast. Hey, that's all right. That's the normal trajectory, I feel like, of a millennial male.
But I think before the surgery, it was like kind of winding down. Like we had been dating for a year and it was like kind of not working. And I was like, I gotta let her fly, bro. I gotta let her fly.
Yeah, you gotta let her out of her cage.
Tried to handle that as well as possible, and I think I did. And I think at that point, I was like, all right, well, I gotta focus on what I gotta focus on.
Hell yeah.
You know, and that's like when you transform. When you're like, all right, I gotta stop drinking. I gotta stop doing the old things that I was doing.
Well, agreed. And, you know, I've reached a point in my life where I kind of know what I want and I live the way I live, which is like, hey, you know, I'm never home and I come home every night at 3 a.m. and
I drink a lot of Spindrifts.
I drink tons of Spindrift, and my whole life is pretty much sponsored by Spindrift. I drink like probably 15 Spindrifts a day, I would say.
That one time I saw you on the street, dare I say pop it up? I don't know if we can find this clip so easily.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Dare I say pop it up? When I saw you on the street, dude, this is like probably 2 years ago.
Where
so
I
it was
met Ted Jones.
Kind of in the beginning of doing Man on the Street.
I was in a deep conversation with my friend about some serious topic on the phone. And I just look up and there's like cameras in my face and it's you. And I was like, oh, and I'm carrying the Liquid Death.
I was like, Andrew Ginsberg, you do comedy, right? The guy's holding freaking 12-pack of liquid water.
It's a lifestyle,
what was it called? Liquid water?
Liquid Death.
Yeah, Liquid Death.
I was on Liquid Death before. Now Liquid Death, everybody drinks Liquid Death.
Yeah, bro.
You watch any stream podcast, people are sponsored by Liquid Death. Okay. I was just drinking it. I'd hate to be this guy, but I knew about it before it became a thing.
Spindrift too?
Spindrift, yes. Well, okay. The history with Spindrift is the first time I ever saw Spindrift. I'm kind of embarrassed to tell this story. I used to eat at Sweet Green sometimes when I was a little younger, a couple years ago. And I still actually.
It was hotter back then, though. Seriously.
It was hotter back then.
Like 3 years ago, right before the surgery, bro, it was Sweet Green all day.
Sweet Green all day. If I'm going to eat a salad, I want it to cost $30.
Cost that shit.
Yeah. And I want it to be expensive. And I want it to be all. I want to know where each bit of lettuce came from, what farm in upstate New York. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So that's why I was always a big Spindrift guy. But Spindrift. But the first place I saw a Spindrift was at Sweet Green. That was the first time I saw it. I had one, and back in those days, it wasn't widely distributed. I had to go find the places where they had it in bulk, and I used to get it, and I was addicted to it. But now it popped off. I'm a trendsetter with seltzers, dude.
I wonder how big that collab was for Spindrift to like link on to Sweet Green in a
probably
situation
huge,
like that. Probably huge because
that same day.
What?
That same time, I remember John Mayer posted on Instagram that it was his favorite. It was his favorite seltzer.
Did he get paid for that though?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure he gets paid for everything he does.
15 calories though, and I think that was right around the time when people were like, "All right, Sweet Green fucks. Let's have this little seltzer over here. 15 calories."
You know, I take it back. I didn't mean to shit on Sweet Green. Sweet Green's good. I like it there. When I'm there, I feel good.
How do you feel about other salad places in the city? Chopped or maybe a Just Salad? Are you a salad guy?
I'm not a salad guy, honestly.
But you lost a lot of weight.
That's true. But I didn't eat a lot of salads on that journey though.
It was just like the stopping of drinking kind of allowed you to do that.
And exercising. I run, 5-6 miles a day.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I had a moment like that for a little bit, bro. You faster?
Am I faster?
Not like a running faster, like not eating.
Not
for
eating,
a moment.
like an intermittent faster.
Yeah,
I'm not actually. No.
Interesting. Okay.
I have done it in the past.
Yeah.
But my general lifestyle is I run. I go as hard as I can. I try to eat something healthier for lunch, and then I just kind of eat whatever I can for dinner because I'm usually out.
Well, whatever you can or whatever you want for dinner.
No, because like with comedy, I don't like to eat right before you go hours before I go on stage.
Too, bro.
Like multiple hours.
Yeah. So then like the Ted Jones comedy show, bro, I won't eat before it. So the whole day until 8 p.m. I don't eat.
Same. Like I'll eat probably. I have some spots.
So
tonight.
That's intermittent fasting.
But it's induced by comedy. It's not like right. It's like if I didn't have the spots, I would eat.
It's funny how comedy can make you so healthy and so unhealthy at the same time, just depending on how you kind of do it. You know, you're like chicken fingers right before you go on stage because you get the comedy discount. Then right after you're done, you get the 4 vodkas and whiskey.
Yeah.
What's going on over here? What is that?
Oh, sorry. Is it in your shot? Sorry.
What?
I'm going to get rid of it.
Just show
This is just my portable.
Your Swiss Army knives?
No, it's a portable phone charger thing. And it was in my back pocket.
Do you need to juice your phone?
No. It was in my back pocket, and I put it over here. I tried to keep it away out of the camera. I didn't want to sit on it the whole show.
Right.
Is it in the shot?
It doesn't matter.
This is the best one on the market, by the way.
Dude, we're doing free sponsors.
This is the My Charge,
all
dude.
episode, dude.
This shit
Wait,
is
so you carry this around?
I carry it around when I have a lot of spots.
Okay, how much extra
Not to
battery?
brag.
How much extra battery does it have though? Like 200% or something?
Yeah, well, because like I'm hosting 2 shows tonight.
Let's go.
And like
Dude,
the host has to have a charged
massive
phone.
Flex. 2 shows? Hosting 2 shows
the
in
most
one
important
night?
thing is
that
host.
even allowed?
You gotta time the comics, and if your phone dies, you gotta have a backup. You know, that's what I'm about. Yeah, man. When you're hosting, your phone's got to be charged.
If you're not the most prepared host for tonight,
Dude, I
pal,
told you,
I don't know who the shit is.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I'm
you're going
punctual.
you're all over the place tonight because it is.
No,
2
I'm not.
p.m.
I'm not all over the place tonight. I'm
You're
not
going back home after.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm gonna go home, check on my kitty.
Shower or what?
No. I'm showered. I'm ready for the day. I may not go back home. We'll see.
Are you gonna eat today before your show?
I'm gonna eat after this podcast. Yeah. And then I won't eat probably until 2. That's where you say the balance between eating healthy and then not eating healthy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like today I woke up, I ate a banana, drank a bunch of coffee, still drinking coffee, came to Ted Jones. I woke up at 12 p.m. and I went to sleep at 3 a.m. And then later today I won't eat all day, and then I'll eat at like 2 in the morning, which is not good. Okay. So that's the harmony there. That's the balance.
I find that, I mean, for myself, I don't know how you guys feel listening and watching, but once 6 p.m. hits, it's dangerous territory for me because like I will just eat whatever is in front of me from 6 p.m. to like 11:30 p.m.
Me too. But if I
wonder if that's
I
like
have
a
to
lot
go
of
on
people.
stage though, then I won't.
Yeah, totally.
But then I'm
that's
starving
like a mind block.
at the end of the night, and then I.
But
eat.
that's good for you though, to be starving before you go on stage, because then your energy's like, all right, where's the next joke?
Yeah, you're
pull it out
just
of your brain.
your
instead of
brain's
fucking
burning all the
hitting the fat in your stomach. You know?
all those omega 3s,
all the fucking omegs 3s.
That's right. Yeah, dude, I'm with it.
Fuck yeah. Dude.
I mean, I don't, dude. The thing is, like, all right, I just went to the doctor today, did a full physical, full workup. I've lost 47 pounds. Since 2020. If you're listening in or wherever, Switzerland,
enjoy that chocolate.
Enjoy
Swiss
the chocolate. Enjoy the banks.
Are there Swiss banks?
Swiss banks. That's all they have in Switzerland.
Oh, bro. I was thinking like water banks. Yes.
No.
Banks
The whole.
for your money. Yeah.
My opinion on Switzerland is that the whole country is only banks, and there's one big hotel where everybody
private banks.
stays.
But anyways, your blood. Excuse me. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I didn't mean to insult the Swiss listeners. My blood, yeah. So it's pretty good. It's several years ago I was at risk for I was pre-diabetic. My liver was failing because I was drinking all the time, and now all those problems have been totally reversed. And the only thing is my cholesterol is a little high, but not too high where it's a problem. Higher than normal because I eat dumplings at 2:00 in the morning and go out for Korean barbecue all the time and do stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm pretty healthy. I'm a salty guy. That's how I get down these days. I don't want cake. I don't want donuts, ice cream. I'm not interested in dessert. I want savory. That's how I
really wonder what's worse for you, man. The salt or the sugar? And you have to think
It's gotta
that
be
probably sugar because it's way more processed in factories and shit. Like salt, you can go in the water and just and then you just fucking salt, you know?
Yeah, you could drink the ocean water. I don't know how you go to the beach, but that's I feel like that's got to be sugar because sugar is more, I think, aligned to the impact that a drug has on you. Like it's like doing like you take a bunch of sugar, you're fucking bugging, you're wired, your brain wants more of it. Then you come down, it spikes up. I feel like salt is just
really like that. Yeah,
it's just heaven.
You're just like or I need water.
Yeah, I need some water.
Was this the same doctor that you went to 3 years ago? Was she like, you need to stop drinking and knock it off with the?
No. I go to a fancy rich person doctor now. Yeah.
So what? So your old doctor thinks you're unhealthy?
Well, my old doctor was a not a WebMD. Fuck, what's the shitty doctors? The ones with all the worst. Around the city. It's like the walk-in clinic.
Oh yeah, right.
I used to go to City MD as my regular doctor.
Is that shitty?
Yeah, it's shitty.
Right.
They're like, I find, I mean,
There's so many of them they can't be good.
nah, they're not. My experience, I used to go there because I just, I didn't care about my health. But then once I became a healthy guy, I was like, I'm going to go to a normal doctor. I go to the kind of place now where it kind of looks like an Apple store, but it's a doctor's office. Any place that they want to make it nice. It's like, this is like a dentist, but elevated. It looks like an Apple store.
Like that's like insurance companies sponsoring all these football stadiums. If all these insurance companies have this money to buy football stadiums, guarantee they don't give a shit about your health or whatever they're insuring. There's way too much money there for them to give a shit about it. Did you change your friend group? Like when you became more healthy, how did that look? Like for people who are looking to lose 47 pounds, what do they have to do different?
Lose your friends first.
Yeah.
You're looking to lose 47
or like,
pounds.
those guys that you're eating dumplings with at 2 a.m.
Exactly.
Keep it sporadic.
You gotta
keep it once a week.
You can't have fat people around you. You have to cut them all out. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I lost friends through not drinking anymore. I wouldn't say I lost them. They're still my friends. We just don't drink together anymore, and that was how we spent our time, so I don't see them that much. So yeah, I changed friend groups, but there's a direct correlation between me quitting drinking and then how much time I spend doing comedy. So it's like, it doesn't matter anyway because I don't see anybody anymore because I just do comedy now. So the only people I see largely are people who are doing stand-up, and then I'll try my very best to see my closest friends from back in the day when I can. But otherwise, I feel like, I had to change groups, and I feel like a lot of comedians are health nuts now. It's like, I think people think of comedians as like coked out like people, but I feel like all the people that I mess with in the city, they're all kind of like sober, into health, sort of. So it's like I hang out with them. So it's I don't know.
No, I think it's kind of changed though, within like the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Comics are becoming more healthy, more health conscious.
You're definitely, at least for me, I'm way funnier or better on stage or can think on my feet faster when I'm not killing myself with drugs and alcohol and food. But at the same time, there's a part of me that's like, really funny people, like, it's great if you like are like destroying yourself.
Because you look at guys like Robin Williams,
look
at guys like Mitch Hedberg, honestly some of the best comedians of all time. And
then such beautiful art gets born out of like darkness.
But then you think about guys today, who can you really pick out of a bunch that reminds you of a Robin Williams doing cocaine all the time, or a guy who's drinking John Candy, not taking care of their body? There aren't really comics like that, and it seems like that kind of comedy isn't really in anymore.
It's not
People being self-deprecating, being like, I'm fat, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm gonna kill myself. That's not really in anymore.
Well, it's out, dude. It's the whole audiences have changed, obviously. Like like a younger audience, like the Gen Z comedy audiences, they don't know, like they don't want that. They're conscious of positive stuff and health and the impact of the world. They don't want, it's not like the 80s. Like they don't want that, it's a different time. It is a different time.
So kind of explain what your shows are like, because it's different than a standard comedy show. Yes.
Like the Village Idiot shows?
Yes.
Well, here's how I think about the Village Idiot shows. They've been going on for 2 years at the Juke Bar in New York City. Every Wednesday. And what makes it, it's a bar, it's a show at a bar. Most importantly, but in the truest sense, like I don't pretend that it's like Isaac and I don't pretend that it's anything other than like it is a show. It's a very good show, but it's at a bar, and we don't try to change that. Sometimes it's the best show I think around, in the sense that we're like, like we have this amazing lineup and the audience is all sitting around in the bar paying attention, and there's this brick wall behind us and it's like a comedy club and it's perfect. But some shows are in chaos and insane, and people are just talking at the bar and nobody can get a joke out and everybody's bombing and the audience is wasted and nobody cares. And like, look, like there's things that we could do to not make it like that, but to me, that's what the Village Idiot is. Like, you don't know what you're going to get on any given Wednesday, and I like that.
You think going around and just telling everyone to be quiet is something that you can quickly adjust? But what do you mean going around and making sure it's something different?
Like if I wanted to, if we wanted to, we could be. First of all, we don't. It's a no cover show, and I put faith into the crowd that they'll get drunk, because basically we just do it to support like the bar. You know what I mean? So, but like if I wanted to, we could like charge a cover. We could ask that everybody silence their phones. We could be quiet. We could like have rules. If you're in here, but we're not like that. We're just like, this is a bar. There's a comedy show going on here. There's no cover. And just like, it's up to the comedian really to get every person in the room engaged, which is stressful. And some people can't do it. I mean, and like sometimes I can't, you can't sometimes. And that sucks. And, but that's just part of what makes it such a nut job thing. it's like truly a bar show. Like it gets rowdy. Your ability to actually get through the performance is dependent upon how wasted everybody is. And I do shush people. Like I'll run around the bar and be like, guys, be quiet. But we don't do anything past that. But sometimes they're not like that. That's what I mean. Like every audience each week is kind of different. Like sometimes, like this Wednesday was by far the best show we had all year.
Oh yeah,
and it was because it was just like a comedy club. Like we had a great lineup, and the audience came in and they were all excited for the show, and they were quietly like they were drinking before the show started. Then the show started, and Isaac was hosting, but I brought him up, and I always can tell within the first 30 seconds what the crowd's like. You know what I mean? Even bringing up Isaac, I'm not even doing bits. I'm just like, hey guys, who's ready for a great show? And you can feel the energy. Versus like on a night where I know it's gonna be crazy, it's like, hey guys, who's ready for a great show? You can just see everybody just talking, not looking at you. Like, come on, hey guys, remember the comedy show? Like are you ready for it? And they're all still talking. Come on, guys, no guys. The show, Mark Norman's gonna be.
When you're booking comedians on your show,
Yeah.
are you thinking about how well they could potentially deal with a different type of audience?
No,
You're
not
just like,
anymore.
all right, we'll see if they can do it.
We used to think about that stuff, but now it's like we feel like we've been around long enough where
That people should know.
everybody who's done the show knows.
They better know.
They don't know that they know the deal. Everybody knows that it can be a great show. I feel
Yeah.
like everybody that's done it.
It's pretty crazy how like good of the lineups you get also just for having a free show. I think people like it because it's so freaking different. Like there's nothing like it in the city, you know?
Yeah, I
It's very
appreciate
impressive.
that. I
It's
appreciate
impressive.
that.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing like it in the city.
Definitely.
We're fortunate to have sick lineups because like we do always have an audience and they're always pretty engaged. It's just a matter of like what type of engagement they're giving you.
Yeah,
You know, it
how
can either be really
engaged and what
positive
they're
or
gonna
negative.
do.
Yeah, but it's interesting to watch like how different comics handle it, and also like I've learned a lot about comedy from watching some of my favorite comedians navigate the Village Idiot show, because like there'll be times where I just can't like it doesn't happen as much anymore because I'm so used to that room. I think of it like my home court, but like I just can't get them, and nobody can get like 3-4 comics in, like it's like no one's really having a good set, but then some great comic will come and they'll get them, they'll murder, and I'll be like, see, that's what separates, you know what I mean? Like what I've learned about Village Idiot is fantastic comedians can get every single person to listen to them no matter what's going on in the room. And that's been kind of interesting to watch some great comedians do that. And I've learned a lot about myself watching other people do that. It's like, what are they doing differently where they're like everybody, 4 people in a row just bombed, but then this one person went up and just crushed. If you can kill at our show,
Yeah, you're a good comic, right?
you're pretty good. I mean, like also you're learning a lot about yourself.
Yes.
Like, because it doesn't mean you're a good comic or a bad comic. It just means like you've learned a very valuable skill, which is like if you kill at our show, and if it's like I said, sometimes it's not a rough show. So just to be clear, sometimes it's an awesome show and everybody kills, and like the audience it's not always, but when it's crazy, it's fucking crazy.
You never really know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get. We don't do anything to change that.
When you go to a comedy club, you kind of know what you're going to get.
you know what you're gonna get.
Maybe the people will love you or they'll like you.
Yeah. Or they'll
kind
like
of
you.
know what you're going to do.
And the way a comedy club presents itself is going to be the same. You're going to drink your 2 drinks. You're going to sit the chairs. The lights are going to come down. Someone's going to say, "Hey, are you guys ready for a great show?" Like we don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just like the show just kind of starts in the middle of a bar. But if you can kill in that room, like then when you go on to like do other stuff, like you said, like on the road or at an actual club, like for me, it's like operating without these these weights on. It's like I know I've cut through this crazy stuff before. I can handle this.
Do you ever have Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle do the show yet?
Yeah, right, dude. That's there's like no one at that caliber has done the show.
I mean, not far off, dude.
We've gotten like
Not far off.
pretty amazing comedians, and I'm proud to say that.
I mean, dude, every working comedian in New York, who's like a
Pretty
legit
much.
working comedian in New York, I'd say probably has done it.
I think so.
I'd say I'll give you that cred.
I always tell people that we have, like we've had like in terms of those people, like we pick like Isaac and I like our favorite comedians, and we try to get them to do the show.
Yeah.
because that's just cool.
It's a beautiful thing
for
yeah,
us.
Sure.
So they do it. But then there's like another level where it's like they're our favorite comedians, but we have no way of contacting them. Back in the day, like years ago when we started it, we couldn't reach people. We didn't, we would wait outside the stand and like try to catch people and stuff. Like there's some people that are even further unreachable from that. For us, it's like very cool. The coolest ones for us is like when Ari Shafir has come by. That's been amazingly cool. And he's such a cool guy, and it's cool of him to do it. And obviously Mark has come by and done it a million times. And like those types of people. Maddie Smith, she's one of my favorites when she's on. But like, there's certain people like it's like, could we get Louis C.K. Could we get Dave Chappelle Dave Attell to do the show? That's like a dream of mine, but I don't even have the balls to ask him.
You talk about connecting with some of these comics. It's crazy how accessible people have become through Instagram DM.
Yeah.
You know, like reaching out to these comics and waiting outside the stand is shit that you like had to do like three plus years ago, or even before the pandemic.
Yeah.
But now, like, I remember when we started doing our show around like probably 2 years ago around this time.
Yeah.
And one of the first shows we did, it was like the first show back. So I was like I was reaching out to everyone. I legitimately probably messaged Dave Chappelle. And we ended up having a great lineup. And then from that point forward, I was like, yeah, I can reach out to any single person I want that lives in New York who's a comic.
Yeah.
Would they all get back to me? No, but like a good amount would get back to me.
Yeah.
Like people love doing comedy. And that's the thing. The amount of comedians that do free shows for years is like 99% of them. Unless you're going on the road consistently, the amount of comics that do free shows for a very long period of time is almost 100%.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And like comics just get it. Like they get as long as there's an audience that's attentive, most people are happy to come.
I did a show for 5 people the other night.
Did you?
Thursday.
Nice.
It was insane.
Nice.
I was like, this is great. It was good. So, and it was 2 audience members.
Yeah.
And then like maybe 3 other comics, I think, from what I put together, dude. It's legitimately 5 people.
I like a 5
wild.
person. I like a show where there's 3 or 5 people.
But can you tell if you're doing well? Like I kind of felt that I was doing well, but I think it was just because like in my own head, I was like, oh, that was a good one. That was clever. That was clever. Like they'll laugh.
At that level, if it's just you're on stage and there's 6 people staring at you, there's no difference between, in my opinion, than being at like a house party and like telling a story in the kitchen and being like, hey guys.
You don't think so? That's an interesting way to put that though, because people would be so much more comfortable. Just your average guy who's like good socially is so comfortable telling a story and holding court in a kitchen.
Yeah.
People, almost every single person would rather do that than go on the stage and tell jokes to 6 people.
Well, that's how I approach. That's just. I'm not saying I do it successfully every time, but that's how I approach a 6-person show. Is I get on stage and I'm like, hey guys, we're chilling, right? Like who wants to hear a story? Like I try to like just like act like they're watching me, like we're friends and I'm telling you something that's funny. That's like that's how I try to. I mean, I take the same approach honestly with a big crowd too, but it's different with like 6 people where you're like you're just staring. You can't be theatrical really with 6 people. Like I'll tend to be like, do voices and impressions and kind of big characters. But I feel like you kind of have to roll it back a little bit. Like you're just with 6 people. You can't. It's like if you were at a house party and you had one person in the kitchen that was like, yeah, dude, and then I walked into the bar and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Like everybody like, this guy's out of his mind. You know, like I'm just kind of.
It'd be different if everyone at the house party was listening, right? Like then you
then maybe. But like if you're just talking to a bunch of people, you're not prone to act like a psycho in a small conversation.
Then again, getting back to how New York is really the only place you can do that. You know, you will never do a show anywhere in the country for 6 people just because that place would probably be closed.
I think. I leave those shows though. I don't leave like I'm like, dude, I fucking kill. Like I'll be happy if I get laughs from 3 people. Like to me, I'm like, I had a spot tonight. That was great. Like that's comedy, dude. And every comedian is like that. There's no comedian in the city. I swear, there is no comedian in the city. It doesn't matter what level you're at. Doesn't matter who you are. How many Instagram followers you have. We've had shows at Village Idiot where the turnout was light, right? And I'll be like embarrassed if you have somebody really big on the show and there's no audience. I'm like, I'm sorry, there's no audience. They don't care. Like nobody really seems to care. They're just like, dude, who fucking cares? But this is great.
I wonder if that's specifically New York. And I
don't know.
I would think that I would lean towards saying that it might be New York.
Yeah,
because if you did that anywhere else in the world, you'd be like, I'm in this secondary market and this fucking happened. You're in New York. You're like, you have how many comedy shows going on a given Thursday night, bro?
So many, dude.
50, like
Easily.
legit comedy shows. 50 probably.
It's a lot of especially in this area. Like if you're by the West Village, East Village,
yeah, below probably 59th Street, right?
Well, every club is running millions of shows, and then you have all these other produced shows all around, and then you have like really amazing produced shows, like executive produced shows, like UO or something like that going on. Yeah, there's tons of competition. But that's the thing about New York is it's like, like I think the comedians are bouncing around. They're just happy to have people are stoked to do comedy. I think I haven't left the city too much to do comedy. 1 year ago today, I went to Chicago to bomb. That was the worst that I ever had.
No way. What venue?
Okay, so this is a great story. This was 1 year ago today. I was thinking about this.
April 1st?
April Fool's Day.
But you're going to tell us a real story, right? You're not going to be like April Fool's at the end of the story.
I swear this is a real story.
But you're not going to say April
Fool's.
I wouldn't.
No. I swear I won't do that. I would never do an April Fool's Day.
All right, stay tuned.
Yeah. No, I won't. This is, anyone who knows me knows that this is a real story. Like this was 1 year ago. So Village Idiot did we had in our heads that every year on April Fool's Day we'd go on the road and we would do
Love that.
We would do an April Fool's Day show on the road. And last year was our first pilot when we went to Chicago. And we didn't do one this year, obviously, you can tell. But we went last year. We partnered with a bar. And so it was a brewery, On Tour Brewing Company. And they were amazing. The staff was it was a fine partnership.
Why Chicago before you get into it?
Because I love Chicago. I was like, let's just go somewhere I want to go. Like we should, like there was really no thought besides that. I heard they have a great comedy scene.
Sure.
You know, I was like, we'll check out the Lincoln Lodge. We'll walk around. We'll go to the Laugh Factory. Blah blah blah. I knew some people, some comics in Chicago. My friend Jess Levin was there at the time.
Jess Levin, she was on the couch. Shout out Jess.
Oh yeah, Jess is amazing.
Yeah.
So she was in Chicago at the time. I was like, Jess can do the show. Da 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 da. Jess hosted the show. We produced this big show, and it was a huge brewery. And we filled it up. Like, there's a lot of people in this room. Like,
right, this is sounding good.
And everybody kind of knew, like, it was me, Isaac, Nick Tallelli came, Dan Janine came, and the four of us we came together to Chicago and we did this big show. And everybody in the room knew I produced the show, and everybody, there was people there that knew me, like, throughout my life, like people I used to work with and stuff. Like, everybody came to see the show in Chicago that was in the Illinois area. And I just went up and I just zero bombed for like about 15 to 20 minutes straight, just like not getting a single bombing.
What was different?
Oh man.
Did you eat right before you went on stage?
No. All right,
Drink a brew?
I was a much different comic a year ago. And it was that day single-handedly changed my whole approach because what happened was, like, first we were cocky. I was cocky in that I thought there was no way something like that could happen because everybody was there for, like, we sold, people knew us. The energy in the room was amazing. We were stoked. And I was like, okay, well, like, they're on board. Like, but first one of the Chicago guys went up and they were like, all right. And then someone else went up and it was all right. And then I was the first of the New York guys to go up. And Jess Levin was up too. So I go up and just bomb, just bomb it. And I was like, all right, I really fell apart. Then Dan and Isaac went. They both also didn't, I would say, not got them. Until Ellie, if you're watching, he's funny. He survived. Guy. And then Matt Pavich actually closed it. He was out there at that time. He killed. So it was like, I was like, all right. So, but that was a very devastating, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. It was like, we flew to Chicago to zero bomb and ruin these people's lives. You know what I mean? It was awesome. And I learned a lot about my stand-up then. That was a really transformative moment for me. It was 1 year ago today because when I got back, I was all depressed. And I was like, dude, like I guess I suck a lot. You know what I mean? And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I was at the Comedy Shop. This was like a week later. And I was talking to Brandon Barrera, and we went into 7th Street Burger, and he goes, I go, can I ask you a question? I go, what do you think about my stand-up? And he's like, you're kind of just up there yelling. You gotta, I used to yell a lot too, but you don't have any, he goes, you don't have any premises. That's what he told me. And that was the best feedback I ever got.
Bro, that's so funny, man. I did a show in Miami, and I had felt that I didn't do as great, too. This was over Art Basel, and Brandon Barrera was doing the show as well, dude.
Really?
I was like, fuck, I didn't do so well. Like, I was getting laughs as whatever. He's like, you're funny. You were getting laughs. Yeah. He's like, but stand still.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing an act out, stand still. You're moving around too much out there. And then literally for like the next like 30 sets up until like, I guess probably like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was thinking like, stop moving around so much unless you're doing an act out.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was a good moment for me. He was like, you didn't bomb. That other girl who went up before that, she bombed. They don't like her. He's talking about that. But it was like, it was a nice moment, I think. And also when you get criticism or tips from another comic, it rarely happens. And in a nice way.
I think
it was great.
Especially
well, yeah, you asked him. That's
I asked
so funny,
him.
dude.
I'm desperate.
I had kind of a moment like that too.
I take feedback well. Like I want feedback. I want to be good. So it's like I'll always ask people like what I can be doing better. If a great comedian like gives me like some like Ian Finance one time gave me some advice and I was so grateful. Like I don't take it personally. Like I want to be good. I want to be as best as I can. So it's like if I'm up there, this was a year ago. I haven't bombed like that since then. That was one like that was the worst bomb I ever had in the whole time I was doing comedy. But it's like if like what happened? Like I just want to know like I learned so much about my set that night.
What do you think happened?
Back then I didn't take enough space when I got on stage to establish a connection with the audience. I at that time I just started I used to just ramble off bits as soon as I got on stage, but I didn't have any kind of meaningful, like we weren't on the same page. I think, and I used to do a lot more like I just get up. I used to yell a lot. I used to be like blah, blah, blah. I was just like yelling. I don't really do that anymore. Now I realize that the goal is to be myself on stage. Like the way I am off stage, I want to be that person on stage. I used to think I had to be somebody else on stage. That's the main difference. I was like, I'm going to go on stage and I have this kind of character and I act like a psycho and I have these jokes, but like, that's not who I am. But I found it so hard to be myself on stage, and I'm still working on it, but it's like now the better I get at stand-up is me closer to being myself in front of like hundreds of people.
I do way better when I'm just trying to be the same guy I was off stage 5 minutes ago than I was on stage. But some comics I feel like do have that character when they're on stage. Like, wow, he's so different than he was on stage. Like,
but the thing is, dude, is like with people like that, I think that's who they really are. Like, so there's some comics I see them
comfortable on
stage. They only feel like themselves on stage. And when they're off stage, they're weird and they're awkward and they're socially.
Talks about that.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, how many people we know? We know people like this. So you can't. It's like talking to a brick wall in real life, and then they go on stage. They're like, like it happens all the time. But I think for me, off stage, I am kind of like a nut anyway. I just need to be that way on. Like I need to be myself. Like if you're at a part, I think everybody that does stand up comedy. I've always said this to everybody, no matter what level you're at. Everybody that does it at some point in their lives, someone, their friend or someone was like, "Dude, you're like the funniest person I know. You should do stand up comedy." And like, okay, but what made that person say that? How can you be that person on stage in front of a room? You know what I mean? Like in front of a room full of strangers. Like,
you gotta be loose.
You got to be yourself. And it's so hard. It's so hard to be yourself. I think. I'm trying to be myself. So a year ago, I just wasn't being myself. I went up and started doing these crazy act outs and stuff.
Up, dude. That's crazy, man.
That's where I'm at.
If you think about life, you'll be the happiest when you're just yourself, dude.
Just stop
drowning out in smoking too much weed. Stop drowning out and maybe drinking too much alcohol. You got to be up there and be like, all right, how can I become a better version of myself?
Yeah. How can
by next week?
How can I?
Bro, I busted out a 25-minute set in my mirror before you came over.
Did you really?
Dope. Yeah, I went to the gym and I was like, fuck, am I going to really bust out a set before Ginsberg gets over here? And I did. And I gave myself an A on that performance.
That's good. That's good.
So I'll do that nowadays. I'm just like doing sets in the mirror. Yeah. And then give myself a letter grade after it.
How do you write jokes?
I kind of.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! He spilled again. Sorry. Speaking of writing jokes, you still have your.
Hold on, I spilled.
You want to go get a new paper towel? Oh, you still have it? I got it. You might need more of that. How do I write my jokes, bro? I mean, it just depends kind of where I'm at the particular time. If I have something that is a more full out idea, I'll write it down on a piece of paper. But I use my phone a lot these days. I won't shy away from using my phone when I see something weird or interesting. If I have like a quick thought. Do you just have a lot of coffee in that cup? What's the deal? I guess they always.
I got it from the place next to your apartment, by the way, and I will say that they didn't put the lid on right, so that's what the problem is.
All right, well, I know which one you're talking about. That's why I don't get coffee from there. I'm a Starbucks.
I never will
guy.
again. See, you seem like the kind of guy who takes his table very seriously. So I'm sorry.
Sure. Just because I have to wipe it like almost every day, because sometimes I'll just get ash, like weed ash on here.
Okay. Well, if you get weed ash on here, then I feel less bad about the coffee.
Less bad about putting milk on the coffee table?
If it's about the milk, I feel less bad.
Don't worry about it, bro.
But yeah, so writing. I won't drink this anymore. Let's go back to your joke writing.
Yeah.
Do you just
stories, funny things that I notice, things that I'll remember, and I'll just write it down, and then I'll expand on those stories or things that I've written down, or be like, oh, like that time when I was staying with my dad in a hotel and he wouldn't stop snoring, and then my dream became his snores, and now I'm in the forest with my dad sawing down logs. I wake up, my dad is snoring next to me. Oh, I thought we were in the forest. And things like that. And
you put it down on your phone.
Yeah.
So will you just be walking and then you'll remember these things, then you write them down?
Yes.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's how I
feel like that's got to be the way that we should all kind of be doing it these days. We have the phone. It's so accessible. I understand you want to differentiate. Like I still have a notebook for my jokes, but I don't have every single joke in that notebook. Like I have way more jokes in my phone on the iCloud
for sure.
than in a notebook. Because that's just how it is these days. It's so much easier to type. And bro, I can write 3 jokes in the same amount of time that I could handwrite 1 joke.
For sure. Process is interesting to me though, because I have a lot of comedian friends who they're like, all right, hey, I have 1 to 3 p.m. open today. I'm going to sit down in a coffee shop and I'm going to write. And I just can't do that.
Nah,
like I
bro.
can't sit down and be like, time for me to write these jokes. Like I'll be like walking around. I'll be like, you know what's funny? Loneliness. And then I'll start writing things down. Like it'll stop me in my tracks. And then you have to write it I write it in the phone, and then I get like the bullet points of and that's kind of how I write it. And then I take it, and then it's like, but I can't decide to write. Some people can. I can't.
I think when it comes to sketches, I can decide to write.
Yeah.
So if I am like, all right, I gotta write I'm filming tomorrow. I have an hour to write a sketch. Like that's when I can really lock in. And then once I get those first few lines, I'm flowing. Like for 30, it'll take me like 30 minutes to write a sketch.
I find the process of all this stuff like pretty interesting because everybody has a different one, and it's just wild, man.
Yeah, and there's no real way to teach people to do it or correct somebody how they're doing it. You know, it's like kind of like Lil Wayne will come in the studio 15 minutes later, you owe him $1 million and he's got a verse. Other artists will come in the studio, take them 3 weeks to get the vocals right, write everything down.
I've heard that some comedians, like at the highest level, like at the greatest level. So if you took someone like, I've talked to some comedians that know Louis, right? And they'll
Louis
be like,
C.K.
Louis C.K. And he can take an idea that he has because he's been doing comedy for 40 years, and he's probably, that's what I mean, operating at a high level. I could never. No, I'm not saying I can do this. But I'm not saying I know this either. Someone told me that this is what he does. He can take a joke, a concept that he just thought of, and run it through whatever mechanism in his brain turns it into like a joke, the setup, the premise, the punchline. You know what I mean? In his style, and can go do it in front of 5,000 people like that night and get laughs. You know what I mean?
As if that's the first time he's done it?
Yeah, because he can churn it through like a mechanism. But I find that that's like knowing yourself at such a high level. Like I can take a concept that I think is funny, but it's a lot of work for me to communicate it to a crowd. Like to get it to a point where it's a joke. Like that's to me, that's the hard part of writing comedy. Is
relate what's in your head to the audience member.
Well, that's why you bump. You know, like when you have a new joke, it's like I'm convinced that this is funny, and I'm not articulating what's funny about it. So people are just like, the fuck, like you think it's funny that you know what I mean, that you're bald or whatever.
That's like, also something that I think that comedians will get jammed up in. Like the idea in their head is funny, but they run it one time and it didn't hit. Maybe the second time they stumbled over their words, and then they're like, all right, well, the first 2 times they didn't really laugh at it, but maybe if you develop the joke more the third time, it'd be a joke that you can use all the time. Yeah. So, and that's also kind of learning,
Well, Chris, I don't know if you know Chris Brown, the comic, but he's a comic. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's a friend of mine, and he gave me some advice early on, years ago, and he said that when he's like, yeah, man, like when you're doing, I'm not gonna do an impression of what I almost said, but he was like, yeah, man, when you're doing like say you have a new bit and you're working it out and no one's laughing, he's like, but you'll hear those little nuggets of chuckles and things like that. It's like, that's the stuff. Like you go back, you listen to your recording, and like where those little, it's like, that's the stuff that like has some, there's something there, and then you flesh that out, and that's how you get to the joke. But for me, I still have that I have to do that. I have to like go up, say what I think is funny about it, try to get some laughs, bomb, build it up, find the funny stuff, keep writing, keep doing it until it becomes a thing. Whereas like I think someone at a super advanced level can like write a joke quickly because they know themselves and they know how they make jokes and they know what their point of view is, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Who knows, Ted? It's a crazy world we're in, man. Us artists,
Yeah, man.
You consider yourself an artist?
There's no real way to do it. I do. Look at this fucking thing I made, dude. Yes, of course I do. We're actually getting a new sign, guys, in about a week and a half. It's the same one, but it's just better printed. This is just, it's had a life or two, bro.
Printed? What do you mean? Like you...
a kid made the design like this, but it's just like actually on a poster board.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be a little bit more easy to stick to the wall.
Nice.
As we're still here in the studio for the next few months before we move to
the
top of the Empire State Building.
Are you really?
Live from Ted Jones World.
You're moving?
Yeah, we'll see. No, not at the moment. But
you're moving to the podcast studio? Are you a big crystals guy, by the way? I noticed you got
crystal meth or...
Yeah, I like the crystal meth that we cooked.
The crystal meth. Absolutely. Oh, dude, you just sound like Jesse Pinkman.
That's what I was trying to do.
I'm sure you just tried to do that.
Yeah.
Crystals, rose quartz. I don't know, bro. I bought that shit on Amazon a while ago.
I'm a big crystal
guy.
Some
girl that I was seeing was like, oh, yeah, there's silver rose quartz.
See, that's the thing about it. See, that's because you're a girl. That all makes sense. That's why you're a girlfriend guy. Because you got crystals because a woman told you to.
No. I'm not a girlfriend guy, but like...
I'm a huge crystal guy, so I like the rose quartz.
Oh,
I
nice.
have crystals all over my
Oh,
apartment.
right. Like also your Twitch stream is kind of like crystal environment.
Yeah, that's my apartment. You know what I mean? So,
Oh, dope. All right.
yeah, Who's Up with the Bergs is shot locally at Andrew Ginsberg's apartment in my fun room.
Dope, dude. You guys are a good time. You
Thanks,
guys are
man.
a nice hang. I find that no offense to you, but I find that
None taken.
two guys who host a show usually are pretty cool dudes because you can't have two fucking weirdos host a
Yeah,
show.
no,
it just
right.
wouldn't work.
It does, well, yeah, exactly. And there are shows with two weirdos run, but they don't work.
You think? Yeah, I don't even know. I can't even talk.
There's some weirdos out there, yeah, for sure. Yeah, me and Isaac are, we're friends. We're good.
Yeah.
We spend more time together than with anybody else in the whole entire world.
Oh yeah,
There's no one I spend more time with on the planet than Isaac Gartenberg.
that's cute. Does he have a girlfriend?
I don't think so. No,
You would know that though, maybe if you did.
we don't talk about relationships.
You don't have time to fucking discuss that shit, dude. With all this shit,
All
you
we
guys
talk
got
about is
going on.
business. That's what we talk about.
Business, pal.
And we discuss business, and that's it. And but yeah, I spend a lot of time with that guy. That's where I'm at. So, but I back to when we started the podcast. I do think I should probably date more. I think it'd be good if I had a partner now at this point in my life. Right? 'Cause
You ready for it?
I'm about to be 35, bro.
Do you want kids?
No.
Do you find that maybe it would be harder to find a woman around the same age as you who doesn't want kids? Or
Yeah,
what are you
I think
for?
it's going to be hard to find a woman who wants to date somebody who is out every night till 3 a.m. and has no interest in them.
Well, maybe not so if you look for a younger girl, dude. They like that kind of shit, bro. They're going to be out that late partying, freaking
But I don't want that. I don't want that though.
Right,
I don't
you
want to
wanna-
date some Molly girl. Are you crazy?
Unless her name is Molly.
If her name was Molly and
Then
she took
maybe you
Molly, then
consider.
maybe that's fine.
If the puzzle fits, the puzzle piece fits. You know what I mean?
That's very beautiful. That's a well said, dude. If the puzzle fits, the puzzle piece fits. That's Ted Jones, dude.
Andrew
Ted Jones
Ginsberg,
quote.
this has been freaking great, dude. Thanks so much for coming on the pod. We covered quite a bit of topics.
This is my third appearance on the Ted Jones pod.
and bro, third of 50
Millions.
Third of 50 million.
I appreciate you having me. I'm sorry I spilled coffee on your table.
All good.
I'll see you next time.
You came in on time, man. You balanced it out. Andrew Ginsberg, bro, before we get out of here, Village Idiot Comedy Show and
Who's Up with the
pop up your
Birds.
Instagram and Who's Up with the Birds, but pop up your Instagram right here. Let us know.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Insta Ginsberg, Ginsberg.
Clever.
And follow With the Bergs for funny clips. You want clips, don't you? Follow us.
Follow this guy. He's freaking hilarious. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in, watching, like the goddamn video, subscribe to the podcast, write a review. We love you. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Godspeed.